This video looks like a luxury travel flex. But it's not. It's a financial machine disguised as entertainment. Because what seems like a simple comparison between a $1 plane ride and a $500,000 jet is actually a carefully engineered content pyramid built to do three things at once: shock the viewer, stretch retention to the limit, and turn spectacle into millions. And the craziest part? The $500,000 flight at the end might not even be the most expensive part of the production. Once you factor in the blimp, the sponsor integration, the Disney payoff, the crew movement, insurance, airport coordination, and the hidden cost of filming across multiple aviation environments, this wasn't just a viral video. It was a large-scale media operation. At its core, the concept is brutally simple, and that's exactly why it works. MrBeast takes one of the most universally understood fantasies in the world, flying in insane luxury, and turns it into a ladder. A $1 seat. A $1,000 first-class seat. A $10,000 suite. A $25,000 luxury cabin. A $100,000 private jet. A $300,000 blimp. And finally, the most expensive private plane ticket on the planet. The video runs 12 minutes and 20 seconds, which is almost perfectly in line with MrBeast's broader production philosophy of tight, high-retention runtime. Long enough to stack payoffs, short enough to avoid drag. Every tier promises a bigger reveal, so the audience is psychologically trained to keep watching because the best part is always one step ahead. That is instant virality, a clear title, visible escalation, and a promise anyone can understand in under 2 seconds. What most people miss is that this video does not feel huge because there are hundreds of contestants. It feels huge because of controlled cast density. The recurring on-screen group is small and readable: Jimmy, Carl, Nolan, Chandler, and Chris, which keeps the viewer emotionally anchored. But around them is a much wider participant shell: pilots, flight attendants, blimp operators, race event staff, airport handlers, sponsor touchpoints, and the random subscribers brought in for the final Disney payoff. So visually, the video feels intimate and massive at the same time. The clothing strategy matters too. Nobody is dressed in complicated wardrobe. The crew wear simple, bright, easily readable outfits that pop against aircraft interiors: white walls, black leather, gold fixtures, and runway backgrounds. That keeps the human reactions visible. Even the amenities become props: toiletries, pajamas, tablets, caviar, lounges, showers, pizza, giant couches, bedrooms, and theater seating. Each extra isn't just a luxury item. It's a visual proof point that tells the audience the money is real. And then there's the production scale. This is where the illusion of just 5 guys trying expensive flights completely falls apart. To make a video like this work, you need a mobile production unit that can survive multiple locations, tight aviation windows, restricted access spaces, moving aircraft, changing light, safety constraints, and the constant need for clean audio and reaction coverage. Realistically, this kind of shoot likely required a traveling core crew of roughly 12 to 18 people, with local support layered on top depending on the aircraft and venue. That means producers, camera operators, DIT or media handlers, audio support, logistics coordinators, security, travel managers, fixers, and post supervisors. And that's before counting the teams on the aircraft side. MrBeast has publicly said his operation spends millions a month on content, with roughly $3 to $4 million going to the main channel alone, and broader reporting around his business has described an accounting-backed, large team structure built specifically to support these oversized shoots. In other words, the scale you feel on screen is supported by a system built to manufacture scale repeatedly. The video's public performance explains why that system exists. At the time of research, $1 versus $500,000 plane ticket had around 552,080,867 views, roughly 8,990,693 likes, and about 174,000 comments. Those are not just vanity stats. Those numbers tell you this video did exactly what it was designed to do. Massive top-of-funnel click-through, strong enough watch time to keep being recommended for years, and high comment activity that reinforces social proof. It was uploaded on April 1, 2023, and it is still pulling gigantic cumulative traffic long after release. That long tail matters. A normal viral video spikes and fades. A MrBeast video is designed more like a digital asset. It keeps generating views, ad revenue, subscriber growth, and brand impressions long after the upload weekends. Now let's talk money, because this is where the story gets really interesting. For YouTube ad revenue, the base formula is simple. Views divided by 1,000, multiplied by RPM. The trick is choosing the right RPM. Entertainment content usually earns less per view than finance or business content, but audience geography can push it up or down dramatically. Viewers in the US, UK, Canada, Australia, and Germany tend to command stronger ad rates, while broader international viewership lowers the blended average. That matters even more for MrBeast because YouTube has publicly featured him as a creator deeply invested in multilingual expansion, saying his videos had already been dubbed into 11 languages, while broader localization reporting shows his international channels pulled enormous viewership. So yes, he gets insane scale, but his blended RPM is likely lower than a US-heavy niche channel because his audience is so global. For this specific video, a realistic blended RPM range is probably $3 to $7, with a central estimate around $5.25. Using that midpoint, the ad revenue math lands around $2.9 million. Here's the formula. 552,080,867 divided by 1,000, multiplied by $5.25, which comes out to roughly $2,898,000 in YouTube revenue attributable to the video. On the low end, at a $3 RPM, the video would still be worth around $1.66 million. On the aggressive end, at $7, it would push past $3.86 million. So even before we touch sponsorships, this upload is already playing in blockbuster territory. And remember, that revenue doesn't arrive all at once. It compounds over time as the video keeps getting recommended, shared, clipped, dubbed, and rediscovered by new audiences. But here's the twist. Ad revenue is only one layer. The sponsor in this video isn't hidden. It's integrated directly into the spectacle. ZipRecruiter gets called out in the description, woven into the blimp sequence, tied to hiring editors and cameramen, and turned into a literal visual stunt through the wrapped blimp. MrBeast even says he paid 6 figures just to wrap it. That's not a background logo. That's a premium branded integration with memorability built in. For a creator at this scale, with this level of guaranteed reach and a sponsor moment that becomes part of the entertainment itself, a realistic sponsorship estimate is around $1.2 million to $1.6 million. A fair midpoint is $1.4 million. Why so high? Because the brand isn't renting a pre-roll. It's buying association with one of the biggest spectacle creators on Earth, inside a video that can live for years. Then you add the ecosystem effect. This video doesn't just sell views. It cross-promotes the MrBeast machine. The description links to merch and view stats. The final plane segment includes a Feastables joke and brand mention. The audience isn't just watching a travel comparison. They're being cycled through the MrBeast universe: chocolate, store, side businesses, hiring, and subscriber loyalty. It's difficult to assign exact dollars to that spillover, so the cleanest way to handle it is to treat it as indirect monetization rather than guaranteed cash. Conservatively, the attributable lift from product awareness, store traffic, subscriber conversion, and brand halo could be worth another $400,000 to $700,000 over time. A grounded middle estimate is $550,000. So now the total value created by the video rises to roughly $4.85 million, about $4.3 million in direct cash-style revenue if you count ads plus sponsor only, and about $4.85 million if you include ecosystem lift. Now for the part everyone waits for, the real cost. Start with the obvious travel layer. The cheap ultralight $1 segment may look almost free, but once you include the pilot, location access, safety prep, and the fact that this is a shoot rather than a tourist ride, it's better estimated closer to $5,000 to $10,000 operationally. The $1,000 first-class section likely required multiple seats rather than one, especially since Jimmy says he bought the whole first-class section, so that leg may sit around $4,000 to $8,000. The $10,000 flight appears to involve multiple premium seats and a long-haul premium cabin, likely around $30,000 to $50,000 total. The $25,000 luxury suite flight, again for more than one traveler, likely lands around $60,000 to $80,000. The $100,000 private jet is probably close to what it says on the tin. The blimp package is bigger than people realize. Aircraft use, event timing, crew, logistics, and a wrap that MrBeast himself says cost 6 figures. A realistic estimate is around $300,000 to $350,000. And the final $500,000 flagship plane experience appears designed as the true climax, so using $500,000 as the anchor cost there is reasonable. Just the aircraft and experience layer alone likely pushes past $1.05 million. But this is where the cost really explodes. Once you move beyond the visible aircraft, you hit production infrastructure. A multi-location aviation shoot with luxury interiors is not something you film with 2 cameras and a backpack. You need multiple cameras rolling at once because you can't easily reset takeoff moments, reaction beats, or aircraft access windows. You need data backups on the move. You need producers coordinating exact boarding times. You need local fixers and aviation contacts. You likely need extra insurance because you're filming on unusual vehicles, over major events, and around moving aircraft. Then comes post. MrBeast editing is not cheap editing. The cuts are dense. The pacing is aggressive. Graphics, punch-ins, sound design, subtitles, story compression, comedic timing, sponsor integration, and final thumbnail/title optimization all require specialist labor. A realistic estimate for crew payroll, travel, lodging, local coordination, and post-production combined is around $350,000 to $500,000, and I'd place this video near $430,000. Then come the participant and operational costs that almost nobody includes. Ground transport between airports and hotels. Food and water for crew and talent. Equipment movement. Safety briefings. On-site holding areas. Staff overtime. Legal review for releases and brand clearances. Airport permissions. Possible location fees. And the ending is more expensive than it first appears. MrBeast doesn't just show the most expensive plane. He fills it with subscribers and sends them to Disney World for a 2-day all-expenses-paid trip. That final emotional payoff matters because it converts luxury into generosity, which is core to the MrBeast brand. Depending on the number of subscribers flown, plus park tickets, resort stays, transport, meals, and production escorting, that ending alone could realistically sit in the $40,000 to $90,000 range. Add hidden costs like contingency, legal, taxes, insurance, and safety systems, and you're easily adding another $150,000 to $250,000. So what's the total? Here's the cleanest high-confidence estimate, about $1.9 million all in, with a plausible range from roughly $1.6 million to $2.2 million depending on how much of the aviation access was discounted, comped, or negotiated for filming. My central estimate is $1.92 million. That number feels shocking because the title anchors you at $500,000, but the title only describes the final ticket, not the entire operation. And once you understand MrBeast's production model, it makes sense. He's not paying for one luxury experience. He's paying to stack 7 escalating experiences into one seamless retention engine. The audience sees a travel video. The business is funding an attention asset. Now the profit and loss reveal. On direct cash revenue, this video likely made around $4.3 million, roughly $2.9 million from YouTube ads and about $1.4 million from sponsorship. Against a central cost estimate of $1.92 million, that leaves a direct estimated profit of around $2.38 million. If you include the broader ecosystem value, merch exposure, Feastables awareness, view stats traffic, subscriber conversion, and long-tail brand lift, the total upside rises closer to $4.85 million, meaning the strategic profit climbs to roughly $2.93 million. In other words, this wasn't just profitable. It was massively profitable, even by premium YouTube standards. And the break-even point is the wildest part. With a sponsor of this size, the video may have needed only around 100 million views in ad-supported performance to cover the rest of the cost. Everything beyond that starts becoming serious margin. The advanced metrics make the whole thing even clearer. At a $1.92 million production cost over 552 million views, the cost per view is roughly $0.0035, about a third of a cent. That means every view cost him less than 1 cent to manufacture. Using direct cash revenue of $4.3 million, the revenue per view is around $0.0078, or roughly 3/4 of a cent include ecosystem value, and that climbs to nearly $0.0088 per view. On direct cash alone, The estimated ROI is about 124%. On full strategic value, it climbs to roughly 153%. That is why creators at this level can justify doing things ordinary channels cannot. Once your machine is efficient enough, spending nearly $2 million on one video can actually be the conservative move. So why was this video worth it beyond the spreadsheet? Because MrBeast is not optimizing for one upload. He's optimizing for empire growth. A video like this drives subscriber growth because it feels globally understandable. You don't need context to understand cheap versus luxury. It fuels brand perception because it reinforces the idea that MrBeast videos are events, not uploads. It strengthens sponsor leverage because it proves he can integrate a brand into spectacle without killing retention. It increases catalog value because future viewers binge backward from big videos like this into older ones. And it plays perfectly into his global distribution model, where dubbed or localized versions can continue extending reach beyond English-speaking audiences. Even if the margins were thinner than estimated, the strategic value would still make it a win. But in this case, the numbers suggest he got both reach and profit. And this is where the psychology becomes genius. The retention engine is not built on planes. It's built on escalation. The first shot is chaos. The $1 aircraft sounds like a lawnmower, looks dangerous, and instantly spikes curiosity. Then every next segment answers one question while creating a bigger one. If this is what $1,000 looks like, what does $10,000 look like? If $10,000 has a shower, what can $25,000 possibly add? If $25,000 is already absurd, how do you top it with a private jet? Then the video swerves into a blimp over a giant race event so the structure doesn't become repetitive. Then it withholds the biggest prize, the $500,000 plane, until the end. That's textbook retention design. Add humor from the core cast, quick sensory reveals, tight editing, and a generosity payoff with subscribers going to Disney, and the viewer gets novelty, suspense, comedy, aspiration, and emotional reward in one package. The virality factors are just as sharp. The title is almost perfect because it uses an extreme numerical contrast that the brain instantly understands. $1 versus $500,000. Rich versus poor. Lowest versus highest. Worst versus best. No explanation needed. The thumbnail psychology likely did the same thing visually. Large aircraft, clear contrast, easy hierarchy, and instant curiosity. And the topic itself is universal. Hotels can feel passive. A plane ticket feels like movement, status, danger, adventure, and access. It taps into fantasies people already have: first class, private jets, and billionaire travel. Even better, the concept is language light, which helps it travel globally through dubbing and localization. That means more countries can understand the hook immediately, even before the narration begins. This is not just a good title. It is a globally portable title. And maybe that's the biggest takeaway of all. This video was never really about flying. It was about converting contrast into attention, attention into retention, retention into revenue, and revenue back into even bigger spectacle. That's the MrBeast loop. Spend huge. Make it look even bigger. Keep the idea simple. Stack the payoffs. Make the audience feel like the next reveal will break the scale all over again. Then end with generosity so the excess feels earned instead of empty. By the end of this upload, the audience doesn't just remember the $500,000 jet. They remember the entire journey up the ladder. And that's why this video works financially, psychologically, and algorithmically at the same time. Because under the surface, it isn't a travel challenge. It's a masterclass in industrial-scale YouTube storytelling. And somehow, this still doesn't feel like the ceiling. It feels like a test run for something even bigger.